All right, just give me a sec. Open the software.
Alright. Oh, I need to edit the name of this. Whoops. Dreamless Expo. Uh, character creation in VR. Creation
Yes.
in VR with Kamaal Manboard. Alright. Yeah, that's the name. Save. Repeat. Bless you.
Thanks.
Alright. So we're live right now, but it's on the We'll Be Back thing, so searching this thing out. I guess we'll cut out this part out of the actual, like when we're posting the video. Alright. I told you this screen would be useful. The We'll Be Back.
Little bit of technical difficulty.
That's fine.
Right now they're probably
We
seeing it. That's unfortunate.
allow access
Did I download this
and
guy?
then
End the screen.
Alright, so I believe there's only two people viewing right now. Six people are viewing right now. Um,
all right. So you go to your screen and share.
window capture. Mm, yeah.
Are you guys seeing me? Hearing me?
Yeah, we're hearing you. We're not seeing you. Oh wait, hold on. My stream. Yeah. Yeah, everything is up, bro. Okay. All right, Kamal, let's do a brief introduction for yourself whenever you're ready, and what this is about and what you know.
All right. So this is kind of a bit laggy. Yeah, it's lagging a bit. Um, I'm live.
Yeah, you're live.
Um, so I'm Kamal Manboard. I'm a digital artist, mostly a 3D generalist. Um, yeah, I'm actually an architectural designer, so don't know what I'm doing here, but anyway, yeah, I do a lot of 3D modeling, and I used to work for a VR company in 2017 to 19, where I got introduced to the world of VR, and it's something that I got really interested in it. It grabbed me. That was the first time in like 10 years I was excited to play some video games and so forth. But then I realized there was more to it. You have the ability to watch a whole animated short um in VR. So, with that, I had the idea to do 3D animation, because before that I dabbled a bit in 3D animation, self-taught 3D animator. I use Cinema 4D as my main tool, and I use Unreal Engine, and I realized that all these tools could be combined to create VR storytelling experiences, and with the software that I'm using, Oculus Quill, it's a VR sketch software. I would describe it as, where you're able to basically sketch in 3D space and basically create like concept for your story. So it's not full blown animation. It's good at doing like animatic and stuff like that. So it's a concepting tool that you can flesh out a world in 3D while experiencing it from the perspective, of VR, where you feel like you're actually in the space. So that's what I'll be demonstrating today, Oculus Quill, and how you can use this tool to basically experience a story from a up close dimension.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
These software tend to be performance intensive. I'm using my laptop. I realize there's a little bit of lag.
Yeah.
So
I was
it
wondering, because I realized you're sharing the OBS screen.
yeah.
I don't
So
think
I
you need
could
to
maybe
do that.
just share it
Like,
directly instead
yeah,
of the OBS.
yeah.
I wanted to show myself using it, but I'll just come out of OBS and just share
Oh, I
the
understand.
screen directly. Yeah.
A good point. Actually, maybe this is fine. I was just thinking, if you're slowing, if your computer's slowing down, I don't know how much OBS is slowing it down, but we would
Let
like to see your
me.
face.
Okay, so let me do a brushstroke. So it's like that because it's lagging, but I'll work with it.
Oh, there's the straight
So when it's
line.
not lagging, it's a bit smoother. Yeah.
So right now you're
So,
drawing in the
mm,
air. You're not like,
yeah.
okay, cool.
So you can see me making a stroke, and you can see it appearing, right there.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. So it's like right in front of me. I can move around it, look at it. I can hold my whirl and spin it. As a matter of fact, I can use one hand, and I can sketch and just twist my hand and go around the object by just twisting my hand, because I'm holding the entire space with my left controller. So it has a lot of dexterity to it, in terms of how you move and understand the 3D space versus looking through a window on a traditional computer, because you can call that traditional now.
Yeah.
So that's it. So you have a color palette. You're able to pick your colors, and it's basically a flat luminescence stroke, but you're able to use a colorized tool. You can set the opacity of that, and you can say pick a darker color and increase your stroke size, and you can basically colorize a stroke. So for instance, if I'm doing some grass, I might want to, let me pick this color right here. I might want to draw a blade of grass, and then might want to add in some different tones. I'm able to add some light tones there, add some darker tones. And I'm also able to select this grass and I can duplicate it. And I can select all of this. And now I'm able to create a bunch of grass like that. And this is how I start to flesh out my 3D environment. But before I get to that stage, I usually sketch out what I want to do loosely. So say for instance, I want to create a world with some trees. I might say, you know what, sketch out some trees. I can change my brushstroke type. This thing is okay. To a round sphere. And now use this to block out my environment. Might want a few trees. I might want to scale this one down. And I start to visualize. So now I want to look at this from a more human perspective. I hold my two grip buttons and I can just pull out and scale it up. So now I'm here standing, looking up at these trees, and I can say, all right, I want my story to take place right in this world. I always imagine VR storytelling as a stage, as a play, where you're in the audience and you're looking up, because nobody really wants to be looking around all over the place to really experiencing a story. So I imagine like I'm creating a stage. So there's some three-dimensionality to it, but I don't go too far. I just keep in the 180 degree rule in terms of whatever I want to to take place. I usually scale down my environment when I'm working from a wider perspective so I can see what's happening. Let me the opacity of this. And I want to colorize my trees a little bit. They're disappearing. Ground. Okay. Usually I'm a bit quicker than this, but you know, I'm a bit nervous, plus this thing is lagging a bit. You guys are hearing me okay? I
Yeah, man.
guess
I'll
this
just look at
stream
the
is now mine.
I'll look at the.
All
Yes,
right,
yes.
so
You're in control. You can hear me?
yes, I can hear you.
Man.
So sketching out the environment here, I had an idea for some really large leaves and someone hiding under the leaves, and then there's this giant fish of some sort randomly swimming through the forest. And maybe some smaller fish out there in the background, and I would have someone sheltering from some rain under here. And I can have some rainfall, and from a rainfall I'm going to create a new paint layer. I'm gonna call this rain.
Is it that you
And
have to click
I'm going
you have to click on that keyboard there, or does it also work with your keyboard if you need? I mean, I
yeah, I have a display in front of me.
okay.
Yeah, so it's like floating in space. I have to just try and figure out where it is in terms of the distance away from me, but it's very intuitive in terms of having an exact feeling of where you are in the three-dimensional space. So
Um,
here
I've
I'm
I've
going to
I've watched people play VR games, and they've complained about like a headache after a couple hours of playing. Is that something you experience with this?
for some people, I guess you get used to it after a few
Mm,
years
mm. How
of
long have
doing
you
it.
been?
But
That's a good segue into another question. How long have you
yeah,
been working
I've
in
been
VR?
using it for um 5 years basically.
Damn.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do a loop here,
Hey
and
Kamal, Stratus here. Somebody in the chat is asking if the light in the helmet causes eye damage long term.
not more than computer or TV. Not more than that.
It's like sitting
All
in
right.
front of your TV with your face up into the screen, I guess.
So I need to go over to anim brushstrokes. Change that.
All right, I'm gonna let Nathaniel, aka Stratos Art, take over for me for the rest of this as the co-host, I guess, or like the chat reader.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. Oh,
Can you hear me okay, by the way, Kamal?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay. So what I'm trying to do here is I creating some loop frames. Let me take this thing off from here,
I was
and
about to say that looks like a animation timeline.
yeah, it's the animation timeline, and let me trim down everything and go from the beginning, and then when I press play, I should be looping here. No, need to turn on loop, not looping. Toggle. All right. So let's see if here is looping the playhead. All right, cool. So I'm on my rain layer.
So it just tracks your motion live and replays that?
Yes,
Oh, that's neat.
it does. All right, let me see.
So can you adjust like the timing and the spacing after the fact, or?
Yes, you can adjust the timing.
Ah, okay.
All right, let me just start over with this because it's a bit laggy. So
Yeah, that's fine.
We need to create some empty frames. So I go.
Your computer's probably not happy with you right now. Live streaming video, running VR all at the same time.
And let me loop, and then let me check this animation supposed to be on. Frames should be on. So if I play,
Somebody's asking if Quill is by Oculus. Or is it a third-party developer that made the app? Oh,
Oh damn! It looked like him internet or something.
oh, I don't know. I hope his computer didn't crash, actually.
Yeah, this look freeze up.
It is very system intensive, so we'll give him some time to
Right,
come
this
back.
looks like time for me to use my fancy device.
Run the transition.
Hell yeah. Right, I guess while the transition is going on, I
Should
can
have made a
just...
technical difficulties slide.
I wanted to draw like Luna in a hard hat for that, but
Oh, that would have been good. Well, we can make one for
yeah, this actually looked like his
next time.
internet.
Yeah, I think his computer. It's either his internet or his computer has decided to crash. I mean, to be fair, I was concerned about that. That is a lot to run at once. It's live rendering everything.
Yeah. Um.
Thank you, G. Well, I mean, he left the Discord as well, so I think he knows right now that something went wrong.
Yeah.
We'll be right back soon. I'm not sure what's going on just yet, but we'll find out. Okay, Jay says in the chat that he'll be back soon. So.
Oh man. Thank you, Gary. I did that at like 5 o'clock in the morning.
Also, yeah. Oh, you're responding to Gary?
Yeah.
He was up, surprisingly.
Actually, what I can do while this is going on is add source.
Oh, did you leave the people in the Gartic draw to do their thing?
Yeah. They're just having fun now. Calculator. Yeah, this way. Let me find the ad.
Oh, that is a great idea. Run that in the meantime.
Yeah. Oh gosh,
Just
I
a
should probably
reminder
try
to
to.
anybody new here, we have an exhibit running on the website currently. If you haven't seen it already, you should check it out and share so anybody else that would be interested can go and see. There's a lot of really cool products, both by people that we've invited, like Kamaal, and persons in the community as well.
Yeah.
Panda says they're having fun without us. Boy, you know, the other option is to go back in that stream in the meantime and watch them draw.
Well, I don't think they're drying. I think them just have thought them usual foolishness.
Oh, well, let's not have that live.
Yeah. Alright.
You still looking for the video to play?
Yeah, I have it. I just need to. Yeah. Oh god. Right, that's it. Wait, I think I can just cancel this. and I have this here. Yeah.
Have you ever like been
Dreamless
interested
is
in
a space
doing
for forming
VR art?
friendships, learning, and collaboration.
Me personally,
Yeah, you.
A place where we make cool
VR
stuff.
kinda scary.
Really?
3D, bro. I'm afraid
At
of
least
3D,
for
like
us,
the 3D that doesn't involve
bias.
it being what you're actually seeing, much less.
Hmm.
Wait, actually.
Oh, nice.
DDX is the Caribbean's
Yeah, I mean,
first
I've always been
online
interested in the
animation
Oculus
expo,
from it came out. It
bringing
wasn't,
creators
it wasn't
together to showcase
affordable
their
at the
work
time.
and network with
I
regional
don't really have the
industry
space for that
professionals.
kind of thing because you know the setup at the
We'll
time was
have
like you have to
panel talks,
put a bag of sensors around
games,
the room, etc.
comics,
Now they've
animation,
made it
and illustration. Come join us December 17th to 18th on dreamlessexpo.com.
That's what.
was he knows that it's lagging currently.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, does that feel like lag in real life? Like, how does that work? Oh, he's back.
Hello.
Cause that's the stuff I was thinking about that would make your head hurt, right? Like like, it would feel like your brain itself is slowing down, like your eyes are slowing down, but your eyes are not slowing down. You know?
Well, now that Kamaal is back, you can answer that question. When you were experiencing the lag, is that just like the buttons not responding, or does like the tracking software also feel like it's not following you anymore?
Yes, it feels like it's not following me exactly, and it mostly feels like it's running at low frame rate. That's what it feels like. So I'm
So you
seeing
just that feels very disorienting.
so let me share back.
I think you can. We've had you stream the first section with your face in there, so if it helps your machine run a little bit faster, you can probably turn off your video for a little bit. And if you need to absolutely demonstrate something like a gesture or something with your hands, you can turn it back on for that section.
Okay, so you guys are seeing.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Kimani, you
I'm
can
not
switch
sharing
back.
it. Yeah.
You are hearing me
Hell
also?
yeah.
Yeah, we're here.
We
And
can
it also
hear you.
doesn't look laggy anymore. So okay,
Okay,
great.
all right, cool. That's
Hold
what I
on.
should have done.
We're switching back over, so give us a second.
Yeah, it's showing now.
All right, you're live.
All right, so here I'm just starting over with the animation test. Let's see if this thing is going to let me down now, or it's going to work.
Seeing the tree. Seeing the controller, not seeing the tree.
Not seeing the what? So,
So did you scale down the entire scene to start animating?
I did scale down the scene, but not to start animating.
Okay, so just do you find it's easier to work at a smaller size or to draw or paint as if you were like
depends on where, but mostly at a medium size. Yes. All right. So
I can imagine a muralist would probably feel a lot more comfortable using something like this than somebody who's used to using a smaller screen or just like a tablet or something.
Yes.
Does it feel like a workout? Like, do you feel
Yes, it
physically
feels
tired? Oh,
like a workout.
maybe that's a good thing. That sounds like healthy practice for like artists in general. You spend most of your time sitting at a desk, hunched over, drawing. That, this is actually, besides the possible issues depending on who you are, with it, eye fatigue or making you feel nauseous, etc. Like, getting up and drawing would be a good idea. It sounds like fun.
All right, let me go to the next frame. So it's
Oh, it
working.
has onion skin in as well. Yo, that's so cool.
So this is what I was trying to do earlier, and my initial method wasn't working. So I just decided to just use a different method altogether.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. Usually I'm able to draw at the same time while it's playing, but it's just not working. But I can always find an alternative.
Yeah, well, that's good that at least there are options.
But usually I'm able to draw like this and it would record each one of my letters. So maybe some option is turned off somewhere that I'm not aware of, that I
That's
can't find as yet.
so when you're drawing on I'm going to call it a canvas, the 3D space. When you're using a pen and a tablet, generally the hardware registers the stroke when you tap the screen, or if you're using a mouse when you click. So
Yeah,
is it that when you're drawing
trigger.
you have to press the button to
Yeah,
get it to draw?
you have a trigger button that has
Okay.
some play in it, and you're able to press it lightly, and then
Oh, so you can get brush
increase
thickness. Oh, that's
pressure
neat.
as you go along.
That's such an organic way to like animate, because you could like, I'm assuming, just figure out the timing for something really quickly.
Yeah.
As long as you can do it with your body, then it should be fine.
So what I'm gonna do here, put some random rainfall, and then I'll go to the other frame, put some random rainfall elsewhere, and go to the other frame. I'm just making 6 frames.
Does it have an unlimited amount of layers, or are you limited to a specific amount?
It's in theory unlimited if you have
It's
like
based
a
on your system.
190 graphics card.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the limitation is based on your system specs, and it will show you how much memory you're using and how much polygons and so forth.
Oh,
You
it does.
can,
That's very convenient.
yeah, so you
At
can
least,
tells you your hardware performance, and you can scale back on some things.
at least you can get an idea when you're doing a little bit too much, and you might need to.
Right. So here's what I
Stressing.
was trying to achieve, but
Oh,
in an
whoa.
organic way where I could draw it at the same time while it's playing.
So similar
Alright.
to before, when you had drawn the leaf and then duplicated that, can you duplicate the animations too?
Yes, I can duplicate the animation. For instance, let me go over to the first paint layer and let me try and select this fish, and let me see. All right, let me just put that on a new layer. All right, drop that on a new paint layer so it's easier to select. I could duplicate this, animate, duplicate to transform, and on each frame I can say, all right, I want it to, each time I duplicate it, creating a new frame.
Well, that's neat.
and then this timeline is not on a loop, it's on its own thing.
Ah, okay.
So while the rain is looping on 6 frames, this is not tied because this loop is right here where you see this cut and it repeats each time, so you can have different frame rate in it. So if I hit play, hold on, I have to start from the beginning. And let me put this over here so you can see it as soon as I play.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you said this software is called Quill, yeah?
Yes.
Is it free? How much does it cost?
I think it used to be free when I bought it, and even when it turned over to the other company, it was a perpetual thing that I had. Most VR software is a perpetual thing, like usually like $30, from anywhere between $20 to $50 for
It's
a
pretty
software.
affordable.
Yeah, so it's usually around that price because the use cases are usually limited, kind of like an app,
Mhm.
iPad app. So it's usually like
Yeah,
that.
that's true.
We have a sculpting software that's kind of similar to ZBrush that you can sculpt in and so forth.
Somebody in the chat is asking if you've ever tried sketching 2D-ish objects in a 3D environment, such as in Blender or other software.
Yes, I have. It tends to get a little bit tricky, keeping on that 2D plane because you're not able to fix it. You would have to just try your very best to keep on one plane.
Mm.
I can open in a bit. I'll open another more finished piece, that the main piece I wanted to show.
Okay.
I'm just going to test out something here. Let me try and delete this frame.
So if anybody is interested in getting into this kind of thing, like what would you recommend they do? Like what's the
All right,
barriers
so
to entry?
the headset is it's a very intuitive software. It takes you a day to learn it. That's the thing, and I've tested out with a lot of people. I've strapped it on to Nato and Akeem Johnson and Leisha and everybody who comes around me.
Oh,
I
nice.
just strap them into it and just give them a basic rundown in like 5 minutes, and they just start using their creative means and just start painting, and you tend to see their style comes out right away. So I just give them the paintbrush tool and show them how to undo or erase, and
That's really
that's it.
interesting.
So it's a very intuitive software.
I would love
So
to see what
price
Nato
was
ended
just
up
the cost
making.
of the headset, which I paid 300 at the time, but then
Mhm.
it went up to 400 and 500
It
depending
went
on.
up. I thought it went down.
Yeah, they went up because Meta was subsidizing it initially.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
they didn't get as much people as they thought because it's still, a niche
Yeah.
thing apparently. So, I'm one of the advocate who's trying to get more people involved.
Mhm. Oh, well, I can
Everybody
see it's one of those things that
for people to buy one.
it feels like one of those things that's ahead of its time. But I can see a lot more VR games at least coming out recently, and the tech seems to be improving significantly. I heard the initial issues that they had was like the pixel density, like that you'd see like quality was pretty low initially, but it's getting a lot higher now. So after you draw inside the space, because I see it looks like you manipulated the object a while ago using like a transform
Yeah,
tool.
I used a transform while it was playing through the frames. So I use a grab tool that has opacity to a strength, and you can increase the size by pushing up the thumbstick. And while the timeline is playing through the loop, I actually just like nudged it a bit.
Oh, this has a lot of features for a software that only costed like 30.
Yeah, this is really good when it comes down to like leaves blowing in the wind.
Hmm.
It's really good. So let me go ahead and open up scene I did recently. So here I go. Let me see. Now, where did I save that? Usually pops up right away.
So
Documents.
trippy seeing you technically, physically going through file windows looking for.
Okay. Yeah, it comes up in a little dash. Give me a second. All right, let me start over. Okay, here it is. It usually comes up by the default. It's in my C drive, user, documents, quill. All right. Usually pops up as the project files. So this is what I did recently. And I started off by creating one leaf, like how I did, and then duplicated. You can see that some of the strokes are like, you know, it
Out of
started off
this.
it started off being more inline, and then when I was animating it and nudge it, each stroke kind of get out of line a bit. But it's a sketch, you know.
Yeah. It's a
Let
very
me
nice sketch. It's one of those people that's like, oh yeah, it's sketched.
let me turn off the onion skin.
Ikem
So I
is
start off
asking.
on one leaf and then duplicate it and then colorize, you know, adding a little brown, a little yellow and stuff. So I just repeated that process with each section, drawing a few leaves, colorizing, and then just holding it and duplicating. And I can have my stuff in groups. So I have my leaves and I can have the different
Oh wow. Layer
groups.
management. Nice.
So you have a layer management system.
Even
that you-
Calipeg, I don't know if you're familiar with Calipeg on the iPad.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a grouping system for its layers yet.
So now when I'm selecting these, I'm not interrupting
Yeah,
the other
that is
leaves, and I'm
convenient.
able to duplicate this by holding my left trigger, and I can just duplicate those and decorate the whole place. And I tend to paint the trees in the background. I painted them this light color and made them more transparent to give the illusion of depth because it doesn't have a fog system.
Yeah.
So that illusion of
Volumetric
depth is
fog.
painted to look like that. And then things in the foreground are a bit more vibrant and darker. So let me
Nice.
just play this animation.
So utilizing your general art knowledge inside the VR software.
Yes.
Two questions in the chat. One is, what are the ways you found to monetize your use of it, if you found any?
I was blessed with so much creative talent that I ended up not having any business talent. I can build
understand
furniture.
that.
I could build a whole house from scratch. I can do crafts. I learned softwares like super fast. I learned different painting styles super fast, different medium, and then like zero business skills. So because of this immense talent, and I tend to get excited in learning more art skills. People reach out to me just by me putting my work out there. So I would say
Yeah.
for artists who them kind of lack a little business and marketing skill, just put them stuff out there, and people will reach out, people will see your talent and your skills and reach out to you. But at the same time, you have to learn a little bit of negotiation, know what you're worth and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So far how I've monetized this is not directly in this style as yet. I work for an architectural practice in Jamaica, Virtuoso Architect, and I actually use VR as a part of my process in Unreal Engine. So you're able to, just like how I'm sketching here, I'm able to sketch out a building. SketchUp has a VR plugin. If anybody knows SketchUp, SketchUp is a very rigid software that very good at drawing straight lines and buildings, and they're able to
Yeah.
block out forms very quickly.
So you can input
there's
the
where-
values in as well.
Yes, so you can plug in your values. You can scale your building 1 to 50, and you have an idea of what a 1 to 50 model is like in front of you, and then you can teleport into your work and see it at a 1-to-1 human scale. So if a doorway is 6 foot tall or 7 foot tall, you can hold your hand up and it feels like it's actually a 7-foot door or 8-foot door. So I've been in situations before I'm designing a lobby space, and then the passageway, they just seem too claustrophobic. Just by teleporting into the VR space, I could rearrange thing and I would know where to increase. I would hold up my hand and say, this space feel like it could be a little bit wider, or this is okay. And you can fine tune a design because you're experiencing it as if it's actually built. So
Yeah.
sometime when a building is finished built, you realize that's something wrong.
Yeah. That's a
See
very
it in
practical
VR.
use of it.
So that's how I've used it so far. But with this, I've always wanted to create a short film in VR. I've always wanted to create like meditative spaces, like looping spaces with just like a waterfall, and you're sitting in there meditating and just, immersed into this environment, whether it's on a mountaintop or it's in a, or it's in a room with light coming through with a little tree in the middle, and, a volumetric light and that sort of thing. And I've had a few animation ideas to create short films in VR.
Oh, that's really cool. I like that idea. Especially because escapism is a thing. People like
Yes.
to get away from the real world and usually immerse themselves in video games or something to just experience it. I myself do that quite a bit, and I do love those scenes where it's just like some games that are like very artsy or just very well done. Just still give you that same breathtaking feel. And I can imagine something like this, that your art piece right now would be like sitting in a dream world in a sense,
Yeah.
because
This
that's
is
really
actually was designed to experience at this scale. The whole idea that it was like you're a small person in this you know,
it's like, honey,
regular
I
sized
shrunk
world.
kids. This is so cool.
So I designed it to be experienced at this scale.
Oh, there was another question. 1 second. Or did it get answered already? Oh, yes, somebody was asking if you can lock the layers.
Yes, you're able to lock layers. Yeah. You're able to import images as well, but I'm afraid to click on import image of where that might send me.
Oh, okay. So it imports as just a flat object?
Yeah, you can import
Similar to Blender.
as a flat strip.
By the way, Kamaal has this project up on the website if you want to browse a little bit more of the stills and looping animations that he has shown on screen right now. So you can go and
You're
check
able
it
to
out.
bring in a reference that you can use to start.
Oh, that's cool.
So I can create a new paint layer while that is painting, drawn plane, and I can start sketching out, blocking out a 3-dimensional head from my reference. But this process is a bit tedious. I usually import a base mesh if I want a 3-dimensional face. I import a base mesh to kind of paint on top of it.
Mm.
All right. So how much time have I gone so
Well,
far?
technically, you have about 10 minutes left. If you're going for the hour, if you need to go a little bit longer, you can. This is the last event for today, and we will continue at 10 a.m. tomorrow. So if you want to wrap up, you can, but you can stay a little longer. So
Okay.
it's up to you.
All right. So I'm gonna quit this app, and I'm going to jump into Adobe Substance 3D Modeler. So Adobe Substance 3D Modeler, Adobe bought the software named Adobe Medium, and they incorporated their own stuff in it, and they have a desktop version, so you can take off your headset and work on the desktop,
Okay.
or you can just put on your headset and work. Let
Oh,
me
I'm not
get.
familiar with this software at all.
So with this is a sculpting software where
Hmm.
you're able to do something that's a bit more solid.
That's more three-dimensional than the
So
other
this,
one felt more
like,
like grease pencil. This feels more like
yeah, so this is more like ZBrush a little bit.
yeah. I really like the user interface. It's quite nice.
Yeah. So that's my warp tool. I used to use the older version of this, so I'm not entirely familiar with this newer version, but
Hmm.
there's some similar stuff. So let me sculpt something that feels a bit more familiar. Let's start off with that and then warp it a
So
little bit. And I can scale it just the same as if I was in Quill. It has some similar. A lot of the
oh,
VR tools have a similar way of navigating and scaling your world or scaling object in terms of the controls are usually the same.
okay. I find that would kind of once there's one app that sets the standard, very similar to like
Yeah.
how Photoshop came on the market. Most other apps follow suit just because it feels familiar. It makes it a lot easier to pick up your software once it has the same features and same shortcuts. So, have you gotten into 3D modeling before? Because I can see, I mean 3D modeling, 3D printing.
For a short while, but with 3D printing, it's more like prototyping
Mm-hmm.
rather than, an end product. A few people have managed to make it an end product because it takes so long to print one single thing.
Yeah, definitely.
It's usually for prototyping. So I didn't really find, you know, a use case for it where I could use it in what I was doing.
That's fair.
So my smooth tool, I want my smooth tool to have more strength. I think for this, the resolution is a bit high. That's a problem. You usually start off from a lower resolution and work your way up in increasing it. When you start off from too high of a resolution, you tend to have so much artifacts.
Mm.
Yeah. But I don't know how to change the resolution, the layers, increase resolution or decrease resolution. Okay, here it is. Let me
So by
decrease it.
resolution, you're talking about the topology or the amount of
It uses a thing called voxel, where it's
oh,
almost like a three-dimensional pixel.
okay,
It
yeah.
has
That
some
makes sense.
cubes, basically. Yeah. All right. So when I reduce the voxel size,
You can
I'm
smooth it
able
out
to
a little
smooth
easier.
it a little
Yeah.
bit better. Okay.
It really does look like a typical sculpting software just in 3D.
Yeah. It has a symmetry
Oh,
option, but
it does. That's interesting.
yeah, you're able to group, you're able to create instances, you're able to do a lot, but I would have to refresh in this new version.
Can you paint in this one as well? Or is it just for sculpting?
Yes, you can actually paint. Let me see. Has a paintbrush here. See how that works. I think you have down to get your paint. Yeah, no. I'm trying to find the paint options here, but I'm not seeing it. Paintbrush. The brush size, rate, hardness.
So
Okay.
between the two softwares, which one do you prefer, and like what are the pros and cons, would you say, for each?
I prefer Quill because you can just sketch. Feels like you're just sketching.
Mhm.
So I prefer that. All right.
I kind of wish that Quill updated their user interface to
Okay.
look like this, though.
Yeah. All right. So I think I'm cooking with gas now.
Oh, nice.
I think I can change the opacity, hardness, rate, pressure. It has some ability to paint.
Is that a textured brush?
These tools tend to have its limitations because it's something fairly new
Mhm.
and there isn't a lot of software out there.
Yeah. I can imagine developing it for it
A
must
lot
be
of
difficult too.
Yeah, not necessarily, it's
Well, difficult in terms of there isn't a large use base for it, so if they're trying to get
yeah,
funding.
yeah, stuff like that. There isn't a large user base, but it's something that's very fun. It's something that I think where the future is heading towards, and these are just the test bed things, and to show you the possibility. Like if you're a creative and you use these tools, you can just start to imagine the possibilities of working in a space where you're seeing the object. As I said, one of the things that is great about it more than any other 3D software is that, for instance, this head I can hold it and twist my arms
Yeah.
and work around it, and it's way faster than the traditional 3D software where you're navigating through a window.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You can scale and go up close to what you're working on to add details to it. So the
That's
painting
interesting.
is based on the resolution. So if
Mm.
I increase my resolution, because it's using vertex paint,
Okay.
if so when I increase the resolution of the
It's a lot smoother.
polygons, the edges are a lot smoother. I
Ah,
haven't
okay.
found the
That makes
opacity
sense.
slider, but yes.
So can you import models into this, or is it?
Yes, you can import models.
I think that would be really convenient if you're trying to study a character or something, just so maybe even just animating, or if you want to understand an environment or something, just import the entire model and figure out your scene live, like can you like record camera shots inside it as well?
Yes, you can. You have a spectator camera that you can bring out so that it's not so jarring with somebody watching and seeing all your head movements.
Yeah.
There's a way of adding that.
So you
Some
could like virtual reference photos. That'd be so sick. Someone's asking if you can add mesh stuff to this.
Yes, you can. You even can import, like for instance, it has different stamps that
Mhm.
you can use. You can even import your own stamp, like you have like a rock. I've turned on the symmetry option,
Oh, nice.
and it's taking on the color of the paint. So you can
Oh.
import and use it as a stamp and use it as your tool that you use to
Mm.
sculpt. So you
So
can go
for
negative Let me try and remember how I go into negative. Can't remember what option should be here to turn on. Let me click back on this to see. Okay.
Oh, neat. Subtraction.
Subtraction. Sump. Use it as a subtraction.
Yeah, it really is just a typical sculpting tool in VR. That's nice.
So when it comes on to doing some things, it's like really fast, and then when it comes on to doing other things, it's a bit limited and slower.
Everything would have its pros and cons, but I can definitely see somebody who, well, just somebody working a lot faster who scopes in particular
Yeah.
working with this. For the symmetry, can you set the origin point? Because I realize
You can readjust the origin somewhere. The options are there
okay.
to
Because I realized at one point it was just based on your controller, but now you're painting off to the side and it's still
Yeah.
duplicating it. That's
there's
neat.
a way to turn it on to see it, and there are ways of repositioning it.
Someone in the chat is asking if you feel disoriented when you take off the headset at any point in time.
Sometimes if I'm in it for more than an hour, but when I just started out, I couldn't last 10 minutes in
Really?
it. For some people, they're naturally, orientated to it, where they start using it for the first time and they don't get dizzy. I was one of the persons, unfortunately, that got dizzy easily, and then I love VR and I get dizzy easily in VR, but then after a while, like for instance, I can't do the roller coaster VR stuff.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would throw up, and I see people just strap it on for the first time and doing a roller coaster.
Boy, I don't know how I'd react to it necessarily. I'm not a squeamish person, but playing or staring at a screen for a very long period of time in the past has given me headaches. So I do feel
So
like
the,
this
the,
is
the
like
thing with Medium, what I love about it is that it has the desktop version. So as soon as you take off the headset, you're in the desktop version. So if you want to do something like this, and you know that it's gonna be quicker to concept out a rock monster like this, you can do it in VR, and then you want to do more refined work, you take off the headset and continue working there. So I like that
I do
way
like
of
that also.
working where you're combining your workspace and do what is easy on the computer, you do it on the computer. What is easy in VR, you do it in VR.
Yeah, that does seem like a really good workflow to have. At least you have the best of both worlds, so it eliminates the pros and the cons of either. That you built that out so fast, I can imagine it would have taken a lot longer to do.
Taking
Well,
a few more minutes.
yeah, a few more minutes. A lot longer is a stretch when it comes to people who understand what they're doing.
Yeah, you could do this in 1 minute in VR, and then it would probably take you 5 to 10 minutes on the computer
Yeah.
to place and rotate each rock. Because me rotate, I don't have to go to the rotation tool and then go to the move tool and move it around, then go to the scale tool and scale it, and then come back to the. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You can scale, rotate, and move in just one go. In just one go like that, and scaling and rotating and moving.
That
So
is very convenient.
it's a lot quicker in placing stuff.
So I realize that you're moving further away from the model. Is that you pushing and
Yeah,
pulling the camera away?
I can hold these question mark buttons, and when I push it forward, and then I go back, hold and push. That's how you basically navigate your world. So you're
Oh,
like
okay.
climbing. So like
Oh,
with
that's
this, it's like
interesting.
I'm climbing forward, and when I hold the two grip buttons with my middle finger and pull apart, I'm scaling.
Oh, that scales. Okay.
And then I can just scale it down. I can hold this little rock monster in my hand. or I can scale him up and look at him as a giant rock guy.
I can see this being great for reference, that's for sure.
Yeah. I would recommend for everybody to experience a VR animated story. There's this animation called Crow. It has a 2D version that you can, not a 2D, it has a regular screen version that you can watch. And then it has a VR version, and you see the characters running past you. And the moment you look away, they stop moving. And the moment you look at them, they start um, animating. I actually figured out the code to do that with a ray trace in terms of the headset direction to play or stop the animation. And you
Oh,
can have
okay.
like waypoints, like if you walk to a point, you can have like a monster jumping out the bush at that point because like you trigger
Hmm.
something. So you can create interactive stories that's not really a video game. It's a interactive story rather. And when you experience something like this, trust me, it there's like no going back. You're wondering why isn't every 3D animation consumed in this manner?
Yeah, that would be. Somebody said VR movies in the chat. I agree. That sounds like a really interesting experience.
So it's something that I'm really interested in pushing in creating a little animated short and put it out there and encourage people to watch it. And I think the more people, like I have so much confidence in this, I think that the more people experience it, you would have a wide audience because currently there are about 70 some million VR headset in the wild in the world. Facebook alone sold 21 or so million Oculus 2 headset. And you have different types of headset out there. You have the Chinese headset Pico 2 Neo, and it's even better than the Meta headset. So you have high-end headsets that cost 2 grand, and you have headsets that cost as low as $300.
So, what are the main differences between those?
A lot of them is the resolution and
Okay.
the screen door effect, the how wide of a viewing angle you have.
Okay.
That's usually the differences, and the differences between those two things, resolution and viewing angle, can jump a headset from $300 to $1,500.
Yeah, that tech sound complicated.
Yeah, but they have the entry level. Even my 10-year-old nephew has a Meta Quest headset. Let him just play VR chat and Rec Room, and we have a lot of online games where you interact and talk to people. And
Yeah.
even with some of these software, you're able to conference call, bring in somebody like I know SketchUp. I do that with SketchUp. That was a part of my dissertation for my master's, where it's about during COVID-19 I was doing my master's, and I could conference call somebody in China, somebody in Montego Bay, and I can jump into the headset and I can, sketch and say, hey, I want a room, want to extend this building, and you can make notes. I can draw a bubble diagram, make
Mm,
notes, make references, and
Wow.
another person can even grab some of the tools and push and pull and cut out doors, at the same time.
That's
So
actually insane. I've never thought about that use case in particular.
I know for SketchUp, I think you can get up to 4 people in a room, discussing a design, and you can do the same thing for other software that's more on the creative end, like
This is
Adobe Medium.
probably a less relevant question, but when they're in the room with you, is there some indication of where they are, or
Yes.
do you... Okay. So,
You can walk around or you can teleport. A lot of people like to teleport because it's quicker. So you can
mm,
just point to a spot where you want to teleport to. So sometimes you see people just jumping around from one place to the next, or they might fade out, disappear, and appear somewhere else. And you can see sometimes there's an avatar. Sometimes there's a simple avatar where it's just 2 circles, a head and a torso, and you have complex avatars with face and so forth.
or they give you the option to actually change them.
Yes, so with the new Meta Quest Pro, you
Mm.
have face tracking. So when you're talking, your avatar is reflecting your your mouth movements and your eye blinks and
Yeah, that's definitely ahead of its time. People aren't going to be willing to take part in that just yet. Well, hopefully things become a little bit more accessible because you've definitely opened my eyes to a lot more possibilities of what this software can do and hardware. Never thought about collaborating on 3D projects to get like that's insane.
And a GTX graphics card can run this. My computer that I had from 2017 for some reason run it better than my newer I have a 3080 card in my
Mhm.
laptop, and I have a GTX like 1060 in my desktop, and it runs it better than the 30 series for some reason. I think it's
That's
some
interesting. Is it?
compatibility issues
Yeah.
because the headsets were built around that time on the GTX.
Is it the same
platform.
amount of cores for processing? Like a multi-core processor versus like a dual or quad core? Like, is it
I
more
reckon
graphics card intensive or
it's more graphics card intensive than processor
okay,
intensive.
okay.
So it has to be run on a dedicated graphics card. So you have
Oh,
to have a
really?
machine that has a graphics card and not like a Intel co-processing system. But
Okay.
the average computer nowadays that you would purchase for like $1,000,
Yeah,
will have the hardware to run VR. And you have
okay.
the standalone. It can actually run standalone, but you have some software that requires you to plug into the computer and it run on the computer. But you have softwares, simpler sculpting softwares, and that run in the standalone headset.
Really? Okay. That's interesting. All right. So we've gone 13 minutes over the allotted time. So if you have anything else you'd like to share, you can let me know. You can plug yourself, where to find your work, any other information you'd like to let everybody know about the software, or where they can see your stuff.
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram at Kamaal Art, and started a YouTube channel recently, Kamaal Art as well. So you can search for me there, and that's where I'm planning on showcasing most of my work. I have a website in the work that's not up as yet, but on Instagram and on YouTube, and I plan on doing more stuff like this for YouTube in terms of VR going forward and showing people how to use the software and just how I use it in terms of my processes, or if I'm working on a project, and I can show it, showcase it there on Instagram and YouTube.
Oh, okay. That's cool. So if anybody has their own VR headsets, do you have or plans to get one? Is there any plans to have a space where they can view your projects as well, or the things that you've created in VR?
You're able to able to upload VR stuff to 3D models to Sketchfab, and it has a VR mode. So if you create something, like if you go on sketchfab.com and type like quill, you'll find models that people, or environments that people sketched in quill, and then upload it as a 3D model in Sketchfab. You're able to view it on your phone, tablet, the computer, or if you have a headset, you can view it as well. So I think Sketchfab is currently the most dynamic place that you can view a 3D model.
Okay. Hi, that was good. This was a very informative and interesting session. Thank you for coming and sharing all of your knowledge on and inspiring more people into this tech. Guys, as I said before, if you were here earlier, one of the pieces that Kamaal was showing off in Quill is up on the Dream Dust website. That's his project. It's called Home Along. Unfortunately, you will not be able to experience it in the same way that it is intended to be experienced, but you can get a small snippet of what you could expect from it. So make sure to check out the factory floor page on the Dreamdos website. And thanks again, Kamaal, for coming. Really appreciate it.
And was glad to be here, and I'm excited to do more sessions and seminars like this.
Oh, definitely. We'll be inviting you back to share more things. Okay. All right. So, again, guys, thank you. This is the last event for today. We'll be starting back again tomorrow at 10 a.m. bright and early. Tomorrow is ram-packed with several events, so don't miss them. Share, like the videos so that they can get more traction. Share with people who you think might be interested. And yeah, I guess we'll see you guys tomorrow. So we're sharing Kamaal's page currently for you guys to see if you haven't.